I mean, when you look at his Twitter feed, you know, he was for open borders in the United States and kind of took pot shots at J.D. Vance and the Trump administration.
This new pope is like everyone I know from Chicago.
Here's how you get him. He pulls a knife, you pull a gun. He sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue. That's the Chicago way.
Okay, maybe not that tough, but Cardinal Prevost, a.k.a. Pope Leo, definitely has more bark on him than these little White House fairies like J.D. Vance.
I don't want to talk about this stuff.
So when J.D. went to the Vatican to witness the Pope's inaugural Mass, he tried to get some FaceTime with a Chicago White Sox, Chicago Bears fan, and the leader of 1.5 billion Catholics. But the Pope, unlike the weak little Trump incels, stood up to Vance.
Republican Veep candidate J.D. Vance is igniting a firestorm for once calling citizens without children childless cat ladies.
We're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made, and so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too.
Yeah, he sounds tough, doesn't he? He wouldn't even stand up for his family when this white supremacist and Trump supporter attacked his wife and kids.
J.D. Vance also has a non-white wife, an Indian wife, and a kid named Vivek. All his kids have Indian names. So it's like, what exactly are we getting here? And that's not a dig at him just because I'm a racist or something. But it's like, who is this guy really? Do we really expect that the guy who has an Indian wife and named their kid Vivek is going to support white identity?
Anyway, the Pope shook J.D. Vance's hand, but barely spoke to him in the 17-second encounter. It was both awkward and sweet.
There is a new Pope. He is American and not very MAGA, which is just a little cherry because I just love watching them spiral. Laura Loomer is losing her mind on Twitter about how anti-MAGA the Pope is. I don't really give a shit, but I am glad for the Catholics of the world that are probably so sick of Americans being nuts right now. They probably heard there's an American Pope and they're like, oh my God. And hopefully he stands for immigrants and he stands for the marginalized. But let's look at what his Twitter can tell us about him. Aaron Reichlin Melnick has tweeted, the new Pope didn't post once in 2024. In 2025, he posted 5 times. He criticized J.D. Vance's take on Jesus, posted an article critiquing Vance's statements on deportation policies, retweeted about the Pope's health twice, and retweeted criticism of Trump and Bukele's laughter at Abrego Garcia.
And it followed a sermon in which not so subtle digs were aimed at man-titties.
Fight like hell!
Though he didn't say Trump by name, he talked about hatred, violence, prejudice, and the fear of difference, and an economic paradigm that exploits the earth resources and marginalizes the poorest. Way too big of words for Fat Donnie to understand.
They had what?
Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio both made the trip to the Vatican to witness the Pope's inaugural Mass. And as they watched the Pope, arguably a pillar of strength, who has criticized the policies of both Vance and Trump, these 2 weak little marshmallows just sat on their hands. And here's the thing about this Pope. He's a straight shooter. He openly criticized Vance and penned an op-ed in which he slammed JD for saying caring for others should come after your own family is looked after. He said J.D. Vance is wrong. Jesus doesn't ask us to rank our love for others. And after his speech, Pope Leo met with Zelensky and other world leaders, but not these 2 little sisters.
New Pope Leo XIV's tweets about Trump and J.D. Vance resurface and reveal exactly what he thinks of them. Chicago-born Cardinal Robert Prevost was elected as the first American Pope, but doesn't seem to be a fan of President Donald Trump. He has criticized the Trump administration's moves on immigration and expressed support for progressive causes. Do you not see the suffering? Is your conscience not disturbed? How can you stay quiet? Pope Leo XIV's stance on immigration should come as no surprise, as he spent most of his career in Latin America, even becoming a naturalized citizen of Peru. J.D. Vance is wrong. Jesus doesn't ask us to rank our love for others, is the title of one of his posts.
So here's what you need to understand.
Yesterday, we saw the news of the new Pope. Before Pope Leo became Pope Leo, there were some critical comments that he made about President Trump and about Vice President Vance on his then ex account. Does the White House have any reaction to those comments?
The president made his reaction to Pope Leo's announcement yesterday very clear. He is very proud to have an American Pope. I think it was a surprise to everyone. I saw the news media was surprised to report on that yesterday, but it's a great thing for the United States of America.
All they care about this Pope is he came from the United States, which is exactly the opposite message the Pope sends.
What would solve the whole thing in the border if they would just start shooting? Only shoot a couple and they would go home.
You think deterrence would work?
If they would shoot.
While Trump calls the rest of the world shithole countries and praises the U.S., his people, MAGA, starting with Bannon, are attacking this Pope for his pre-Vatican II approach to the poor and the hungry. Bannon was actually warning MAGA about then Cardinal Prevost.
There's never been an American-born Pope. Is this the moment?
I do think one of the dark horses, and I think, unfortunately, he's one of the most progressive, is Cardinal Prevost. I don't think he's getting enough play. He is certainly on the short list as being, and I think it's pretty shocking given how the contempt they hold the American church. The American church gives so much money, they're afraid it has too much power. So they've never really wanted to have an American Pope. But my understanding is Prevost is one of the ones closest to Francis ideologically. He's also had tremendous experience in Latin America.
Trump won the presidency, and he is the legitimate.
Let them call you xenophobe.
Trump is a sexual predator.
Let them call you nativist. Wear it as a badge of honor, because every day we get stronger and they get weaker.
But Trump and his little cuckold's reaction to this Pope is disgusting. This guy's calling for the world's superpowers to embrace and not attack and assault the poor and hungry, just seeking food and shelter, to which MAGA says, that. Like this doughy-faced wacko, Laura Loomer. She's calling the Pope woke for calling for human decency. And when the Pope was a cardinal and asked for peace for the George Floyd family, murdered by a cop in front of the world, well, her reaction was a conspiracy that Floyd died from fentanyl. But Loomer's not alone. MAGA's on full attack mode. I love this guy. He calls the Pope an open borders globalist. What the does that even mean? I'll tell you, it shows weakness. It's easy to turn your back on the poor, hungry, and sick people of the world while pretending that God is on your side. But this is America's idea of God.
If a man also lie with mankind as he lieth with the woman, both of them have committed an abomination, they shall surely be put to death.
There are demonic forces.
If you don't like our religion, then we don't want you in our country.
This is a test for the so-called Christians in the MAGA movement. But don't hold your breath.
They're coming here in the name of Jesus.
The Pope and the rest of the Christian world look at America and they see this.
I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the pussy. You can do anything.
Knock the crap out of him.
Like to punch him in the face.
Maybe he should have been roughed up.
So you have to ask yourself this disturbing question. When Trump mocked the Pope with this AI vision of himself,
I'd like to be Pope. That would be my #1 choice.
You have to ask, is it possible that American Catholics will be pushed to decide between this and this?
Trump is a sexual predator.
Damn right.
You're a nasty person.
Bloated and fat and disgusting. We're a nation that speaks English.
Look, if something like this, that thing start goggling.
You're an idiot.
Goddamn right.
Drop your pants.
I don't want to talk about this stuff.
Am I wrong?
Yes.
Tick-tock.
You're in a lot of trouble, Donnie.
I think he's crazy.
I'm Chip Franklin.